I once met Sting at a Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel is known for its Southern-inspired country cooking, gift shop, and down-home atmosphere. But there are a few things that might make you second-guess your next visit. These are 10 secrets Cracker Barrel doesn't want you to know.
It's a secret.
The George Jones lawsuit.
Folks, we got a lawsuit.
George Jones is a country music legend. He's the sort of artist that you might expect to hear playing over the Cracker Barrel's PA system. So it should have come as no surprise when a George Jones record went up for sale in Cracker Barrel gift shops. Unfortunately, there were a few interested parties who didn't take to Cracker Barrel's laissez-faire attitude regarding the deceased singer. The dispute would come from Earl Peanut Montgomery, who had co-written songs with Jones over the years. Allegedly, the artist had gifted all past and present proceeds of the album to Montgomery as a pseudo-retirement package.
It's all yours.
This was to thank him for all of his hard work over the years. Montgomery would own all the rights. Well, Concord Music Group and Cracker Barrel apparently didn't get the memo and released the album in breach of this agreement. Montgomery had supposedly declared that no record should be issued, but that didn't prevent customers from spying it in Cracker Barrel stores. The bloody French fry incident.
There's blood all over the place.
If the fries aren't worth their salt, it might be an indicator that you're dining at a lackluster establishment. Well, at Cracker Barrel, it wasn't exactly the standard of the fries that came under fire. It was more about what came with the fries. A woman was dining at a Cracker Barrel store in Texas when she noticed some strange residue on her fries after she began eating. At first, she thought that the fries might have come with unwanted ketchup, but curiosity quickly turned to horror when the diner realized that her French fries were covered in bloody fingerprints.
Sounds gross, looks gross, smells gross.
Apparently, a chef had completely skipped protocol and continued to cook, plate, and serve food even though he had an open cut on his hand. This case is the only reported incident regarding the cut hand, but one can imagine how much food might have been tainted by the event. Although this is a gross violation when it comes to food service, Cracker Barrel didn't seem too fazed by it, opting only to offer an apology, free meal, and gift cards. The homeless meal debacle.
Out! No homeless in here!
Unfortunately, the hits keep coming for Cracker Barrel. It seems like the company is just prone to bad press. You'd expect a chain with rural roots and a down-home country attitude to actually care about its community. This story disputes these common values. It came to the attention of Cracker Barrel managers that one of their employees had given away a corn muffin to an alleged homeless man. This might seem like an opportunity to ride this wave of press and lean into a caring narrative, but Cracker Barrel didn't seem interested in making themselves look good in the public's eye.
Nah, we're good.
Instead, they fired the employee and reaped the rewards of their terrible publicity once again. This dashed any notions that Cracker Barrel could maintain a morally superior stance regarding the incident. To make matters worse, it eventually came to light that the employee who was terminated was a Vietnam veteran. Public sentiment quickly soured against Cracker Barrel, and it was largely agreed that the rule of no free food should have been overlooked in this case. If you ever find yourself in need, you might want to overlook Cracker Barrel. The Razor Blade Burger.
She swallowed a razor blade!
Apparently, quality control is not very rigorous at Cracker Barrel country stores. One customer found something in her burger that was not on the menu. In 2007, Cracker Barrels were forced to recall their frozen burger patties due to the fact that one woman found a razor blade in her meal. Irene Gran was a regular of the chain and had eaten at this particular Cracker Barrel many times before the incident. On this day, however, Irene bit into her burger and immediately began to bleed profusely from her mouth. She was rushed to the hospital after a manager identified a jagged piece of broken metal protruding from her burger patty.
Horrifying.
It was later discovered that not only had Irene bitten into a razor blade, but had actually managed to ingest a piece of metal as well. Supposedly, even after the razor blade fiasco, Irene was eager and determined to revisit the restaurant. She claimed that Cracker Barrel was still one of her favorite places to eat. Most people would be running for the hills under these precarious circumstances, but we applaud Irene's live and let live attitude. Can we please just get poor Irene a burger? Just make sure to leave out the metal debris this time. That shouldn't be too hard, right? A glass full of what?
Do you know you're breaking the law by giving everybody water?
It seems like Cracker Barrel has a bit of a hard time distinguishing the edible from the non-edible. In this particular instance, a man was dining at Cracker Barrel in Marion County, Tennessee. He had ordered ice water, but when he took his first sip, he quickly realized that what he had been given was not good old H2O. It turns out that someone had mistakenly served the man EcoSan. If you've ever worked in the food service industry, you might recognize this liquid as a way of sanitizing the tables.
I remember.
It's often found in red buckets underneath service stands and is a perfectly safe way of cleaning up after guests. However, it's quite obviously not meant to be ingested. No one knows how or why Mr. William Cronin was served this dangerous mix of chemicals, but in early January of 2022, Tennessee state courts decided that Cracker Barrel Country Stores was in violation of proper conduct and awarded Mr. Cronin $9.4 million in reparations. Now that's an expensive glass of water. Sued by Kraft.
Hello, lawsuit.
In the food industry, it's hard to get much bigger than Kraft, which is an umbrella company for many of our favorite food brands. It's the third largest food and beverage company in North America. They make all sorts of products. Some of the most notable of these items include their dairy line, which carries everything from Kraft cheese slices to coffee creamer. In 2012, Cracker Barrel decided that they were going to offer in-store varieties of their menu favorites. This would allow their customers to buy all of their country favorites right in the grocery store. Naturally, this led to the restaurant chain marketing their own brand of Cracker Barrel cheese. Kraft took issue with this as they already had their own variety of cheese that was also branded, you guessed it, Cracker Barrel cheese.
What a coincidence.
Initially, Kraft had no need to be worried about the restaurant using the name of their cheese. They assumed that because the two business models were so different, they would never come in opposition with one another. This was a slight oversight by them, however. They were proven wrong, and Cracker Barrel released their line of cheeses, a move that Kraft didn't take too kindly. In 2013, the two parties reached an agreement, and Cracker Barrel Country Stores were forced to rebrand their products under a new logo that would clear up the confusion between the brands. To this day, you'll be able to find both varieties in the grocery store. Refusing to interview a deaf applicant.
No lawsuit. You're hired.
We know what you're thinking. Can Cracker Barrel sink any lower in the consumer's eyes? Well, rest assured, they're going to give it their all. In 2016, an applicant was supposed to be reviewed by Cracker Barrel for the position of dishwasher. There was some confusion in the proceedings as managers told this person that the normal conductor of the interview would not see them due to conflicting reasons. This person never moved forward in the application process, and the chain would go on to hire 3 more dishwashers. What was the distinction between this candidate and the 3 that had been hired?
Let me guess.
Well, it turns out that the person in question was deaf. The litigation asserted that this was the sole reason that the chain had not hired the applicant, and as a result, would be served a lawsuit on behalf of the job seeker. In a slew of bad headlines which followed, allegations were thrown at Cracker Barrel, claiming that its conduct was cruel and against federal law. After some investigation, it was eventually found that the company had violated some major laws. Firing a woman asking for maternity leave.
You're fired!
Here's another lawsuit in a very long line of Cracker Barrel litigation. This one comes to us from Georgia, where an employee that had been working at a specific location for over 10 years was terminated. This comes after the person in question, Raquel Bird, asked to take 14 weeks off in order to carry her child and give birth. It came to public attention that 8 days after Bird had asked for leave, she was fired. It is well known and established in federal law that an employee cannot be terminated for taking maternity leave, and attorneys in this case called Cracker Barrel's behavior gross misconduct.
It was really bad.
The plot thickens when we find out that Miss Bird had a stellar reputation at the store and had never received a bad evaluation or complaint, or even been reprimanded by upper management. Well, how could this be? What is the reason that a major chain could justify firing this employee? Well, that's just it. What was Cracker Barrel's claim? Well, simply put, it's that Raquel Bird wanted to quit. And in the court records, documents show that the reason for her termination is that she had given her 2 weeks' notice. It does seem a bit suspicious, but weigh this against Cracker Barrel's past track record, and things start to become a bit clearer. Underpaying their servers.
Now we want our money.
Whoa, bro, easy.
Servers, hosts, and bartenders make up a considerable part of the workforce. Some people say that the tipping culture is old and outdated, while others will claim that tips are the only way this job can support such a large portion of the working class. This lawsuit against Cracker Barrel comes as a result of the chain's demands that service staff would spend more than 20% of their time doing non-service work, such as cleaning, dishes, and table prep. However, this delicate balance of workflow was offset when COVID became more prevalent around the world.
I can't take it anymore.
The service staff was asked to do many things outside of their normal job description, such as sanitizing and observing new regulations, all without being tipped. The issue was truly exacerbated when tipped work began to suffer as a result of these new duties being handed down. The suit goes on to describe the displeasure of staff who were discovering differences in their pay, a rude awakening which many claimed was not disclosed to them. This lawsuit is taking into account the Fair Labor Standards Act and thinks that this is the greatest ally when it comes to workplace misconduct. Cracker Barrel's wrongful death lawsuit.
Hank, we can't afford another lawsuit.
The Allen family were dining at a Cracker Barrel country store when Kevin and Katharina, the parents of the household, had a dispute in the store. Kevin said that he intended to do harm to their family and threatened their lives before storming from the premises. Katharina phoned the police and expressed her fear that her husband would do something terrible. During the time that the police were en route to the location, Katharina asked an employee if she and her 2 daughters could take refuge in the store's walk-in freezer. The woman and her 2 children were refused due to the company's policy of staying out of domestic affairs.
Oh, no.
Kevin would later return and kill his wife and one of their daughters while fatally wounding the other. He was later killed in a standoff with the police. A truly horrible event that brought the company into national headlines once again. The public outcry called on Cracker Barrel to assume responsibility, stating that they were fully aware of the intent of Mr. Allen and should have provided safety to Mrs. Allen and her daughters. Cracker Barrel claims that they should assume no responsibility for the actions of Mr. Allen. One way or the other, people largely agree that this is a tragedy that could have been completely avoided if Cracker Barrel employees acted differently that day. Check out more great videos. Just tap or click. First time here? Then hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell.